Okay, now, speaking to Sun, we've got Professor B. He's going to be speaking to Sun about on the function of the central bank in the mature finance capitalist system. Another quote. "We are undone, my dear sir, if legislation is still permitted which makes our money, much or little, real or imaginary, as the moneyed interest shall choose to make it." That was from Thomas Jefferson. Another quote. "From now on, depressions will be scientifically created." It was Congressman Charles A. Lindbergh, 1923. In its pristine form, a central bank is a private monopoly of a nation's money and credit issuance supported by the coercive power of the state. That the central bank be directly in our hands is vital until our new order is firmly established throughout the governmental, business, intellectual and political spheres of society. After our order is consolidated, that would be the New World Order. After our order is consolidated, formal nationalisation of the central bank with great fanfare is usually advisable in order to dispel any lingering suspicion that it is operated for private gain. Of course, only loyal agents of the dynasty are allowed to obtain high offices in the bank, and our power remains intact. Obvious private monopolies are always the targets of sharp reformist agitators. Only the most paranoid, however, can see through the public facade to the private monopoly of the nationalised or quasi-nationalised central bank. The central bank is the primary monopoly on which all our monopoly power depends. The occult power of the central bank to create money out of nothing is the fountainhead that fuels our far-flung financial and political empire. I will make a quick survey of a few of the ways this secret money is brought to bear. Okay, so the bottom line is, if we can make money out of nothing, so can we. In the hands of the righteous.
Absolutely.
We'll have to design our currency.
We've already given the money away in New Guinea.
Yes,
It's redeemable in
Yep.
2013.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey, we can make it out of hemp.
Well, hemp paper's the only way to go. Hemp paper's the only way to go.
Yeah, absolutely, totally. Basically, the power of our central bank flows from
Never the values, you can always smoke it. What was that value?
Hey, okay. Down to serious business. Basically, the power of our central bank flows. You asked me this morning, could I read this without getting emotional? And my response was absolutely not. How could you? How could anybody? This is...
Well, it's a death sentence. All of it's a death sentence. And how many people has it killed in world wars? I mean, 55 million in the Second World War alone. Extraordinary.
Yes.
40 million in the First World War with the Spanish flu that they introduced.
Yeah, which was straight after the introduction of the Federal Reserve. The enactment of the... Okay, alright. Basically, the power of our central bank flows from its control over the points of entry into the economy of new inflationary money, which it creates out of thin air. Ordinarily, bills of exchange, acceptances, private bonds, government bonds and other credit instruments are purchased by the central bank through specially privileged dealers in order to put the new money, often only checking accounting entries, into circulation. The dealers are allowed a large profit since they are fronts operated by our agents. Our purchase of government securities pleases the government, as our purchase of private debt pleases private debtors. As a quid pro quo to assure good management, our agents are given directorships, managerial posts and offices in the corporations and governments so benefited. As the addiction to the narcotic of inflationary easy credit grows and grows, we demand more and more control of our dependent entourage of governments and corporations. When we finally end the easy credit to combat inflation, the enterprises and governments either fall directly into our hands, bankrupt, or are rescued at the price of total control. And that's where the US is already with their, what was it, 700 billion bailout that was actually several trillion bailout. It's exactly where they are now. They've all become employed by the moneylenders. Also, we ruling bankers control the flow of money in the economy through the wide authority of the central bank to license, audit and regulate private banks. Banks that loan to interests outside the loyal entourage are audited by the central bank and found to be dangerously overextended. Just a hint of insolvency from the respected central bank authorities is enough to cause a run on the disobedient bank, or at least dry up its vital lines of credit. Soon the banking establishment learns to follow the hints and nods of your father's agents at the central bank automatically. See, our entire banking system is based on a wink and a nod. Does that give you confidence? Don't you feel good now? Further, the periodic cycles of money, of easy money and tight money that we initiate through our control of the central bank cause corresponding fluctuations in all markets. Our inner circle knows in advance the timing of these cycles and therefore reaps windfall profits by speculating in commodities, stock, currency, gold and bond markets. Monopolistic stock and commodity exchanges are a vital adjunct to our power made possible by our central bank power. We do not allow a fair auction market to exist, but make a great show of tough government regulation to create a false sense of confidence amongst small investors. With the aid of our regulatory charade and financial power, we are able to maintain exchanges tailored to our entourage's need to manipulate stock prices at the expense of independent investors. Our privileged specialists on the floors of our exchanges, aided by the propaganda of our financial press and brokerage houses, continually play on naivete and greed to drain the savings of the unwary into our coffers. The stock, commodities and securities held in trading accounts by the exchange and brokerage houses provides us with a clout far beyond our actual holdings with which we can manipulate prices and win proxy fights for corporate takeovers. Little danger to our lucrative racket exists from public-spirited regulation. Our manipulations are so complex that only the most brilliant experts could comprehend them. To most economists, our exchange operations appear to be helpful efforts to stabilise the market. We ruling bankers, if able to keep peace among ourselves, become richer and richer as time passes without the annoyance of exerting productive effort of benefit to others. The next speaker, Professor G, will discuss the secrets of social legislation and policy that do so much to cement our power.